point out that the sun shines down its power to all the world and makes the wind blow strong as it will. I wonder how gentle rains can fall upon the land, so lovely earth can stay lovely still.
Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the 657th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and the amazing Nancy Wolf. She just proved to me that she knows a lot of things that she conceals, like that she can find anything.
Oh, I can find, yes, I can find.
She didn't find what we were looking for, but...
No, but if I'm good at finding something when it's like on the ground and it's the pattern, like I can spot the earring.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm good at spotting that. That thing.
Good. Okay, this is the 657th edition of Energy Week with George Harvey and Nancy Wolf. Today is the 8th of January, and this edition goes from the 1st of January to the 7th. This material comes from my blog, geoharvey.com. Somewhere on the screen, if you're really lucky as you watch this, you'd be able to find a link to an article, to a website that has just the material that we're talking about, each with its own photograph and link to the original. So if you want to read the original article, you can do it. I guess that's it, isn't it? Okay.
Yeah. Let's go.
The first item, we have a picture of water on a road, and the caption is "Water over Road," which is what that yellow sign says. This is from ABC News.
Yeah, so the headline here is "Wildfires, Floods, and Extreme Heat. These are the biggest weather stories of 2025.
It sounds like something that could have been in The Sound of Music, right? These are a few of my favorite things.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, okay. That's right. You got it. Devastating wildfires, flooding, and extreme heat. That doesn't sound like The Sound of Music. Events took place during the past year, several resulting in mass fatalities. That could be The Sound of Music. I mean, there's some dark stuff going on in the background of that movie. Experts, and, that was invasion of the Nazis in Germany was behind that, and that was definitely what I would call a not nice episode. I knew a woman whose family was, I've known a bunch of people whose families died in the Holocaust, but she was stuck in Paris when the Germans entered the city. And she didn't know until she was 40 that her parents had been captured. She thought that she was the people raising her, who were Americans who went to Paris as soon as Paris was liberated and brought her back to the United States, were her real parents until she was 40. And she said that her earliest childhood memory was peeking out from behind a curtain in the upper story apartment that she lived in with a French family, looking out very carefully because she didn't want to be seen, seeing a tank on the street below, and knowing that the men in it were looking for her. I mean, this is chilling stuff.
Yeah.
And she was one of the pleasantest people I've ever known. And we're in a time when people should be thinking about exactly that kind of thing, I think.
Yeah.
Because things could get that bad and possibly worse in the United States.
Absolutely.
I have ancestors who came from Wales. Maybe I could get picked up by ICE and shoved off in an Ecuadorian prison.
Maybe.
I'm sorry. Anyway, experts link some of these events to human-amplified climate change. Here is the year's biggest weather stories. Now, there's a lot of stories in this article. You should look online to see if you're interested, because there's a lot of them.
Yes.
Go on. I think we have to go on.
Oh, yeah, let's go on.
Okay, this next picture is peculiar. It's people farming in a steppe, S-T-E-P-P-E. And I just thought the idea of farming in a steppe seemed to be so bizarre. But go ahead.
So this is from Renewable Affairs.
Yep.
And the headline here is China's biggest solar farm is changing the desert, not just making power.
Not just making power.
No.
This solar farm, by the way, is unbelievably big. China is home to the world's largest group of solar farms. This is an aggregation of solar farms that they're referring to here as the biggest solar farm, singular. This massive solar cluster can generate nearly 17,000 megawatts. So this is,
Just a little bit,
three and a half thousand times as big as the solar farm at the landfill here in town, which was at one time the largest solar farm in Vermont, I think. While the main job is to produce clean electricity, scientists found it is improving its environment also. Now, I have a short note on this. Researchers studied soil quality, plant growth, microbes, very important, and air moisture near the solar arrays. They noticed that the soil beneath the solar panels and nearby spots had water in it, where farther out it was dry because it was a desert. So the solar panels allowed the water to be retained. And that's a combination of shade and the wind blowing over the surface of the ground being slower. So anyway, there it is.
There it is.
Now we have Katharine Hayhoe.
Yes, we do.
Katharine Hayhoe is one of my favorite people.
Yes. Well, this is from ChristianDaily.com.
Yeah.
Biggest obstacle to care for creation is not denial, but confusion, says evangelical climate scientist.
As concerns about climate change increase, the greatest obstacle to action is not denial, but confusion over what to do, according to a leading climate scientist, Katharine Hayhoe, climate ambassador for the World Evangelical Alliance. And this is something that I think, well, I'm Christian.
Oh, okay.
I mean, I really am Christian.
Yeah.
Although I accept a lot of other stuff, I am Christian. And Jesus told a story. He said that there were two great commandments, and all of the laws and the prophets depended on those commandments. They were love God and love your neighbor. And somebody asked him, one of the disciples, I believe, who exactly is our neighbor? And when he was asked that, he told the story of the Good Samaritan. Now, are you familiar with who the Samaritans are? They're still there. They're still in Israel.
Okay.
They're not Palestinians, but they are a local group of people.
Yes.
When the tribes were taken off in the Babylonian captivity, one set of people who were basically identical to the Jewish people around them stayed behind. And they lived in the mountains and worshiped on the mountaintops. And in the Bible, you find all this stuff about decrying people who worship on mountaintops. The Samaritans were basically very like the Jews, except that they didn't have that section of their scripture that included, beautiful stories like, what was that story? Susanna and the ball. Well, they didn't have the story of Daniel in the lion's den, I can tell you that. They didn't have the story about Susanna something and the snake. There are all kinds of stories in the Bible, neat stories in the Bible but the Jews hated the Samaritans and the Samaritans hated the Jews. So a Jewish merchant, I would guess, was waylaid as he was traveling. Everything he owned was taken. He was beaten up. He was left unconscious on the side of the road, and somebody came along and helped, and that person was a Samaritan. So the neighbor that Jesus was talking about was not the person of your religion, but the person of the other religion.
Yeah.
And I take that very seriously. So, anyway.
I didn't know this.
Well, it's fascinating stuff that a lot of people don't know, including, I would be amazed if Catherine Hayhoe didn't know it. But, you know, if you have somebody who spends all their time, you know, complaining about how everybody should do the religion thing the way they do, help.
Yeah, help. Exactly. Help.
Okay, we're up to Friday, January 2nd. We have a picture of solar panels. This is a boring picture of solar panels.
Ooh, we got such solar panels here. So this is from Microgrid Media.
Yeah.
Old solar panels are still working after 30 years, and that's good news for renewable energy.
Yeah.
Yes, it is.
You know, I could have seen that same headline 10 years ago, because 10 years ago, I saw that the first solar panels to be hooked up to the grid in France were still hooked up to the grid and operating. And they had over 90% of their output still involved. Now, I don't know that they're still operating. They could be. I just don't know. A study shows that solar panels installed in the 1980s is still producing electricity today, over 30 years later. Scientists say solar power is long-lasting and reliable. Solar panels are long-lasting and reliable, which is great for the future of the renewable energy around the world. We don't know, who was it? There was a man who was local in Brattleboro. Mm-hmm. I forget his name. I think his name was Goodman. But he had been, in the 1970s, he had been hooking up solar panels onto satellites that were being sent up into orbit. And some of them, when he died a number of years ago, some of them were still running.
So, you know, this makes me think about failing, crumbling industrial sites, such as perhaps
I've worked in a few
nuclear
power plants,
and how there is not really anyone to hold them to maybe fixing and making it safer for workers and the public generally, but safer for workers, safer for people. But here we have. Oh, this is so nice. And it's just that I just know, just from my own knowledge, how dirty the other things are and how they need a constant upkeep and they need a lot of money to fund the updates of them. And we're talking, yep, still good, cool.
Yep,
great.
That's right. I've worked in factories.
Yeah.
And I've seen things go bizarre.
Yeah.
And there's been more than one time I've seen explosions. But nevertheless. Yeah. Okay. We have this.
Yes, we do.
And this is something that I don't like. A picture of the Atlantic Ocean. I like the picture, and this is an article from MSN.
Yeah, so scientists warn the Atlantic may be closer to a tipping point than feared.
Yeah, the Atlantic may be one of the most fragile pressure points in the climate system. Scientists now warn that a shift, once treated as a distant, low probability scenario, could unfold within the lifetimes of today's coastal residents, reshaping weather, sea levels, and food security. Now, I want to point out, we have something like a dozen nuclear power plants along the east coast of the United States.
Yep.
And some of them rising waters has got so close that it's astonishing.
Oh, maybe the Savannah River site, would that be one of them?
No, the thing that I was thinking of was the Oyster Creek, but you know, I mean, why worry?
Well, SRS, they're making nukes there, so that's fun.
Yeah, that's fun, right? My father knew people who were children of the Radium Girls,
Yeah.
who died because they licked the brushes
Yeah.
at U.S. Radium.
Yeah.
I worked at U.S. Radium, and you know, people didn't know. The people at U.S. Radium did not know that radioactivity was deadly. They knew that they had a sign up that said "Don't lick the brush." They knew that this stuff that was being painted on clock dials was poisonous, but they didn't know that the chemical was poisonous from a distance. You didn't have to be directly exposed to the physical chemical itself. All you needed was exposure to the radiation it gave off. And when the bomb was dropped in Japan, they were astonished. After people didn't talk about the effects of the bomb, but
No.
I think it was the Atlantic published in a series of 4 pieces the story that is called Hiroshima, and people all of a sudden realized this stuff is not safe.
Especially in a bomb, it's definitely not safe. When you're
I got news for you. There is nothing about nuclear power. Not even, the fact that you can make electricity from it. I don't think that's safe. There's nothing safe about nuclear power.
You can make electricity with a lot of other things too.
Yeah, we can. Like those solar panels that last for on and on. Okay, let's move on. Okay.
Let's move on.
Okay. I don't know how we got, I do know how we got from the Atlantic Ocean and the AOC to nuclear power, but we did. This is a picture of moving a nacelle, and that nacelle, which is above those guys, looks like it's big.
It does look like it's big.
I don't think it's all that big.
Okay.
Okay.
Well, this is from Renews.
Yeah.
So Ørsted and Skyborn file legal case over Revolution wind suspension.
This is just going on and on. Everybody's suing over these wind suspensions.
Everybody.
Everybody
If you want to
involved.
be somebody, you better start.
Yeah. The states are suing. The companies involved are suing. Revolution Wind LLC filed a supplemental complaint in the U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia challenging the lease suspension order issued on 22 December 2025 by the Department of Interior's Bureau of Ocean Management. Now, what's happened here is the United States, the federal government, gave a permit to these people to build. And then all of a sudden they say, well, wait a minute, we've got a security problem. Apparently they're worried about the fact that these things will affect radar and the defense.
Yeah, okay.
Well, I talked about this last week.
Yeah.
Radar today is so good that you can actually track a bird flying through a wind farm. And you can watch the bird go up with a row of turbines on the right and a row of turbines on the left, and the bird goes up right between them. It doesn't fly into them because birds, believe it or not, are not entirely stupid. But anyway, the today's news says that this is news today. It's not. It'll be. I don't know if it'll be in next week's show. I think it will be. Ørsted's costs on this shutdown are $1 million a day, and cancellation would cost the company over $8 billion. And this is Ørsted is just one of a number of organizations that has put a lot of money into this stuff. They were given permission, and the permission was just pulled out from under them. The question I've got is, how much is this suspension costing the federal government?
A lot of money.
A lot of money.
Yes.
Because this was done without real consideration for what is called the brand. You'd think that Donald Trump would think about the value of the brand, and the fact that you have given permission to somebody to do something and then taken it away without a complete explanation. A complete explanation has still not come. That's really damaging to your brand. Now,
He's had a lot of damage to his brand.
I think he has, yes. Yeah. I'm going to go on to the next one.
Yeah, let's do that.
This one. I like this picture.
This is a good one.
This is a good picture.
This is a good one. So this is from Clean Technica.
That picture, by the way, is not of something that got beat up. It's you'll hear about it.
Yeah, so one step closer to the compostable EV battery of the future.
Singapore-based startup Flint introduced a, quote, paper battery, end quote. The new compostable battery aims to elevate the sustainability profile of energy storage system for EVs, along with other applications, by eliminating the toxic chemicals. That's important. And the supply chain complications. That's important. But the, excuse me, the reason they call this a paper battery is because they are using cellulose, hemicellulose, and lignin as part of the battery chemistry, and apparently that has some really good effects on the way the battery performs. For example, the dendrites that form in lithium-ion batteries don't form. They're prevented by this stuff. And by the way, I think lignin is one of the really, really interesting chemicals. Really interesting chemicals. Cellulose and lignin are both polymers. Cellulose is plastic. Lignin can be used to make plastic. It used to be called black liquor. When they made paper, they would throw the lignin in the river. You know, they didn't want it. They wanted to get rid of it. And in fact, that's not the reason that factory in Winchester, New Hampshire got closed down. But there were paper mills along the Ashwillet River that threw their waste into the river. And the Ashwillet River was dead. Well, the Connecticut River was thought to be dead. Anyway.
Well, this is great. I like compostable things. I do. I have a thing for compost.
Yeah, I do too. And actually, I knew a young woman who I think she majored in compost in college. Wonderful. Yeah. Very important stuff. I like this picture. This is a BYD C line.
Yeah, so this is from the tech portal. China's BYD overtakes Tesla as global EV leader with 2.26 million sales, while Tesla slips to 1.64 million.
And Tesla's numbers there didn't slip all that far. It's just that BYD had huge growth in its vehicle sales.
Maybe because people can buy them.
Maybe that might have something to do with it. In 2025, Tesla delivered about 1.64 million vehicles, an 8.6% decrease from 2024, and its second straight annual decline. And that, by the way, is seen as being to a large extent because Elon Musk was doing his political thing and people were fed up with it.
Yes.
China's BYD surged ahead, selling around 2.26 million battery EVs, including plug-in hybrids. BYD sold 4.6 million cars. BYD is a big company. it's more than twice as big as Tesla in terms of output. And it does some of the other things. Tesla, for example, sells batteries. BYD sells batteries. BYD sells mining equipment that's fully electric. Tesla doesn't do that. Anyway, we should probably go on.
Yeah, let's go on.
Here we have that, by the way, the source of this, which looks like it's Nation Simru, or Kimru, is pronounced Nation Cymru. I know that's not what it looks like, but it's a Welsh name.
Okay, so this is from Nation
Cymru.
Okay, so UK renewables hit record high in 2025.
UK renewables set records in 2025, though electricity generation from gas still rose as coal plants just went offline. Nuclear power declined, good for them, and demand grew, an analysis shows. The assessment from the climate and energy publication Carbon Brief shows electricity demand rose slightly after years of decline. By the way, I just want to say one more thing about nuclear power. We've talked about it not being safe. We could cite reasons why it's not safe.
Yeah.
And people say, well, it's a lot safer than coal. Okay, I agree. It is safer than coal, or at least it has been.
Just not for, I don't know if it's safer for workers than coal, but okay.
It's, a lot of coal workers die.
Yeah, that's true. Coal workers die, nuclear workers get sick.
Yeah, over a long time. But the thing that bothers me, I keep coming back to this. Waste is a problem that has 75 years. 75? Nah, 65, 70 years. We haven't yet figured out what to do about waste. But the thing is, the analysis that was done for safety before nuclear power plants were built, and this is still true today, were based on those things that could be analyzed and predicted using numbers, which meant if you couldn't put a number on it, it was left out of the thing. We've had 11 nuclear meltdowns that we know of that were in commercial plants putting power online, and all of them, in my opinion, the meltdowns were associated with human error. Human error can't be predicted. So it was never included. So the cause of the nuclear meltdowns was simply left out of the analysis.
Right.
This is not what I would call smart. By the way, I am getting old, but I know that. Okay, we're up to Sunday, January 4th, and we have a picture of the Alps.
Oh, yes, we do. Okay, so this is from Euronews. Europe's ski resorts face climate change threats.
Yeah, higher temperatures and a lack of snow are forcing Europe's ski resorts to rethink their business model. With only a few weeks to go until the Winter Olympics open. I don't know when that is. I don't pay attention to sports. Non-competitive sports. I like that. The slopes around the Pearl of the Dolomites are covered in snow, but for many snow sports, increasingly they are out of reach. The amount of snow that's available is declining. The cost of using it is increasing. For a lot of people can't afford to ski anymore.
Yeah.
They can't afford to play tiddlywinks. That's a competitive sport.
Okay. I was going to say, what about our local ski hill?
Ski jump?
Ski jump, yeah.
I have no idea. I just don't know. I mean, I think people don't go to that because they're interested in finding out who wins. They're going to it because it's an event.
It's fun.
It's Brattleboro, and it's just there.
And it's also, what I like about it is I like watching them. It looks like they're like dancing in the air when they jump.
Yeah.
It's like very elegant
Yeah.
for a split. It's like so quick, but
It's so quick.
it's like, you know, dancing with
Yeah, that's right. It is.
silks or something. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It's very much like that. Okay. We have a picture of California desert
Ah, yeah.
with solar farms on it.
Yeah. Well, this is from Clean Technica. 21 gigawatts of solar for California land that can no longer be used for agriculture.
Well, they can use it for agriculture for photovoltaics once. Once
Yes, they can.
Once the desert improves. and
Yes,
holds
they
its
can use
wa-
it full of. Yes, of course, of course, of course.
Okay, this is warm. There's a warm Sorry, I don't see all that well, and it does make it a little difficult to
Yeah,
read.
it's trying. Yeah.
There's a water district in San Joaquin Valley in California where there's empty land that, quote, can no longer sustain irrigated agriculture, end quote. There just isn't water for this agriculture. The Westlands Water District Board of Directors have decided to have solar power plants there, perhaps 21 gigawatts of them.
Sounds good.
21 gigawatts of solar solar has a low capacity factor, but 21 gigawatts, they don't need that nuclear power plant in California.
So we were talking about Back to the Future
Yeah.
earlier.
Yeah.
28 gigawatts. I think this was. I may
This was
be butchering this.
the
Flux capacitor.
the flux capacitor.
And then Christopher Lloyd says, 21 gigawatts. Like, gigawatts, or it was like 1 gigawatt probably.
We have got a wealth of this stuff. We can make this stuff. What are solar panels made out of? Well, primarily sand. Do we have a
Dirt?
shortage
Do we
of
have dirt? Can we have dirt? We have dirt.
man? And we do things that are silly. Okay.
We do things that are
Okay, now we're up to Echo Liberty.
Oh, yes. So this is from Renews. Equinor challenges Empire Wind stop work order.
See, here we're back to lawsuits
It's a nice little
against the
trend
Trump
there, huh?
administration.
Yeah.
A civil suit was filed by Empire Offshore Wind LLC in the District Court for the District of Columbia, challenging the Department of Interior's order directing a suspension to the 810 megawatt Empire Wind project. That order is viewed as unlawful. I don't see how it could be thought of as any other way, but I don't think these people in Washington who are running the place now are interested in obeying the law. I think it's pretty clear that they're not. And in fact, they had, I forget who it was, but they had somebody who told the people after a judgment against the Trump administration, don't do that. Don't follow that order.
Yeah, that sounds
I
like
think
it
it
works.
might have been when they were sending all those guys to Ecuador.
Yeah.
The order is viewed as unlawful by Equinor and threatens the progress of ongoing work.
Well,
Unlawful.
810 megawatts of power is a lot.
It's a lot.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it is. Including, the capacity factor, it would probably give out a fair amount less than the Vermont Yankee nuclear plant did, but it would be much more than half of that nuclear plant's output. And they're just shutting these things down, which is appallingly stupid.
Yes.
When you consider these things were almost finished, they can come online, new ones can come online. We have increases in demand because of cryptocurrencies and because of AI and because of these various things that are data centers and the things that they're going to use to supply power can't be brought online quickly. The fastest is natural gas, but that's constrained by the amount of gas that can go through existing pipes. So they have to build new pipes. I mean, this is crazy. No, we don't want those. Just shut them down.
Yeah.
Okay, we're up to Monday, January 5th.
Yes.
Whoops. There we go.
There we go.
That is an electric ship.
That is an electric
Incat Tasmania ship.
Yes, so this is from Clean Technica. From riverboats to global ports, cattle is winning the race to electrify shipping.
Yeah, I pronounce that CATL.
Okay.
I don't know that that's what they do, but
Cattle. Okay.
CATL batteries and power management systems are already operating in roughly 900 ships and vessels, a figure that on its own should reframe how maritime emissions reduction is discussed. Now, a CATL subsidiary has unveiled its ship, shore, cloud energy strategy. I want to talk about that ship. It's not, I don't know that it's actually a ship. It's a ferry boat. And it's huge. I mean, it'll carry over 2,000 people and over 200 cars. That was made, the reason it's called Incat Tasmania is because it's made by Incat, which is in Tasmania. And it's made in Hobart, which means it's in Australia, but it's going to be used running between Montevideo and Buenos Aires.
Oh.
So how does it get from Tasmania to Montevideo? They put it on a big ship. The thing is like 400 and some odd feet long, and they just put it on what's called a heavy lift ship, and then they sail it to, yeah. It's interesting. I'm not surprised that they're doing batteries for ships. Batteries are getting to be so inexpensive, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
They're talking about today, the cost of storing electricity in batteries is under a cent per kilowatt hour. And when you consider that you can get solar power for less than 3 cents per kilowatt hour, and wind power for less than 3 cents per kilowatt hour, that means you can have batteries that store the electricity so that when the sun goes down, you can still get solar power. When the wind stops blowing, you can still get wind power. And you can have near firm wind power and near firm solar for under 4 cents from new generating facilities, as opposed to nuclear, which will cost 10.5 cents, 10.5 compared to 4, and near firm, according to NextEra Energy, means at least as reliable as nuclear. So, okay, let's just go on.
Yeah.
Okay, we have a picture of a wind farm foundation being laid.
Yeah. So this is from, I'm now grabbing the paper because the other one was cut off. This is from Renews.
Yes.
And our headline here is Taiwan plans 3.6 gigawatt round 3.3 auction.
Now, I pay a lot of attention to numbers when I put these things together. 3.3 gigawatts is the amount of power that it can output at peak. Round 3.3 is the 3.3th round. So this is I think it's probably the third auction in the third year or something like that. At least 3,600 megawatts of capacity will be released in Taiwan's forthcoming offshore wind round, according to reports. The draft framework for round 3.3 is expected to be announced soon, local media said. Further consultation with developers and supply chain companies will follow. We'll just see how that goes. I don't think China's going to invade Taiwan. And I'll tell you why. Because they've seen the horrible wreckage of what has happened to
Russia?
Russia in the Ukraine. Apparently, the Russians can't get soldiers anymore.
Right. Everyone has
And
done this.
they've been using tanks that were put into storage after the Second World War.
Yeah.
And now we've got the United States doing something that's appallingly stupid in Venezuela. I'm hoping. Hoping. Okay. Should we go on?
Yeah, let's go on.
We have a solar plant in New York.
Yes, we do. So this is from the Jerusalem
Post.
The Jerusalem Post. So the headline here is Fighting Anti-Semitism, One Solar Field at a Time.
I loved this story.
Okay.
One energy developer discovered an unexpected and effective way to confront anti-Semitism. Live Jewish values openly and work with American communities that already share them. It turns out that Jewish values and American values are essentially the same, even if people don't recognize it.
Okay. Yeah.
And, you know, there are differences. One of the things that I would say that is different about Jewish values, I've known a number of people who were Jewish and shared something that I thought was remarkable, and that was they were obviously valuing themselves. They were assigning a value to themselves that was based on their effect on the people around them. And I think Christians can be charitable, but I don't see that among Christians very much.
Well, Jews have there's this whole law in the Torah of tikkun olam, to repair the earth.
I love it. I do. Yeah, repair the earth. But I think
Repair the world.
Repair the world.
Yeah. Yep.
And
we all have to come in and do our part. And some of that, honestly, I feel the connection between the nuclear guardianship is kind of connected in a certain sense.
Yes.
With making sure that we're, keeping the things that we've created from hurting more people than it already has.
Now, it's clear that not everybody does that.
Yes.
But, that is there.
That's a Jewish value.
It's a Jewish value.
Yeah.
And it's one that other people should take a look at. I mean, I talked about Christians taking this thing of love your neighbor, and that even includes Samaritans. Today it would be maybe Muslims, maybe Somalians,
Right.
whatever. This is,
But
okay.
there's many countries that,
Yeah. Okay, I'm going to go on to the next one. We have a picture of a coral reef.
Yeah. This is from Euronews. How the ocean's coral reefs could be the secret weapon to tackle food insecurity around the world.
Overfishing and global warming are depleting food from our oceans, but if we could rebuild reef life, it could help provide millions of meals every year. Coral reefs could become a crucial part of the pathway to help fight global hunger. Now, the easiest path to fixing the health of reefs, which are all in trouble, is undoubtedly dealing with climate change. But, maybe what we should do is consult a bunch of rabbis about it.
Okay.
Okay. Here we have a picture of an offshore substation.
Yeah. So this is from ReNews.
Yeah.
ABS clears Cetrium offshore substation design.
ABS has issued approval in principle for Cetrium's next generation offshore substation design, featuring 500 megawatt modules. Now, I'll get back to that. Offshore substations are critical for transferring and exporting power from wind farms. Robert Langford, ABS Vice President of Global Renewables, said, "This picture is probably a picture of just one 500 megawatt module. If you had a gigawatt wind farm, you'd probably have two of these. That's what I'm kind of guessing. But that's why it's a 500 megawatt module. A 500 megawatt module, you know, I looked at that. Whoa, that's big. But, okay.
Yeah.
Now we have a picture of Hawaii coming up.
Yeah. Okay, so this is from the Honolulu Civil Beat report. Nuclear power isn't viable in Hawaii.
Who'd have thought?
Who'd have thought that?
Hawaii State Energy Office has released a final report of the Nuclear Energy Working Group. This is a group, by the way, that it was engaged by the state to look into nuclear power, see if it would work in Hawaii. It was recreated by state legislature under SCR 136. The report concludes that nuclear power is not viable in Hawaii and that the state should not change its laws or its constitution to enable it. The constitution of the state says no nuclear power.
Great.
Now, I believe the way this works is they haven't found a nuclear plant of any kind that is viable in Hawaii. And that includes small modular reactors. And it also includes the fusion reactors. But there are a bunch of reasons why they haven't found that nuclear power is viable, and one of them is that the electricity is just so expensive. And it's alarming because people say nuclear power is cheap. Well, it is cheap if you've paid the plant down, which will take a bunch of years, and if they start building the plant now,
they'll have to update it in 30 years.
They will have it paid down about the time that your son's wife is having her third child. And at that point, it'll be cheap for a couple of years.
Yeah.
So,
but renewables will be cheaper at that point.
When renewables are already cheaper.
I know, they'll be even cheaper. That's all I'm saying. Even cheaper at that point.
Yeah. And by the way, Wright's law, which explains how the cost of solar power went down, the cost of wind power that went down, the cost of battery power went down, the cost of computer chips went down, and so forth, can be applied to nuclear power. And when it is, it predicts that nuclear power gets more expensive. Doesn't go down. Okay. Now we have oil wells on Lake Maracaibo. This is Wednesday, January 7th.
Yeah, this is from Euronews. As Trump pitches Venezuelan oil dream for U.S. companies, experts warn it won't be cheap or easy.
Yeah. President Trump has his sights on Venezuela's oil. If consolidated with U.S. oil business, about 1/3 of global oil reserves would end up being under U.S. control. But experts are skeptical about Trump's plans, saying they won't be cheap and they won't be easy. And this article doesn't even go into some of the reasons why this might not be easy. Pardon me. For example, the article doesn't really dwell on what happens if we have a rebellion going on in Venezuela with guerrillas and so forth. Mm-hmm. What it does go into is the fact that the oil reserves in Venezuela are basically tar sands. They're very thick, gooey oil. And it's just not easy to get that stuff out of the ground and put it into ships and refine it, mm-hmm. stuff like that. And it won't be easy to sell because Everybody's mad at the United States. They don't want to be customers of a country that would take over another country for the sake of its oil. And Donald Trump has said that the reason he went into Venezuela was because of the oil. And, you know, he had been saying this stuff about Venezuela having the Maduro regime was running gangster operations, and they've admitted that that's not true. I mean, George W. Bush never admitted that things weren't true in Iran, or Iraq, rather. But they've already admitted that it's not true. And, you know, it's mind-boggling to me.
Yeah. Well,
And now he wants to start a two-front war by invading Greenland. For what?
so that he can remain president.
I think that he's getting off the rails so hard now that we're at a point where some Republicans would vote to remove him from office.
That's good.
That's what I think.
Good. I liked that thought.
Okay. I'm going to go on.
Yes, let's go on. This is from Renews. Nordex lands 414 megawatt European turbine haul.
Yeah, Nordex has secured orders for 15 wind projects in France. That's 15 projects in France, Belgium, and Portugal. Portugal, by the way, hit 70% renewable energy, as I think for the year last year. Totaling more than 414 megawatts. The company said the contracts cover 78 turbines, and so this is 15 wind projects with a total of 78 turbines. So it's not a huge number of turbines per project, but they're 15, you know. And they include multi-year service and maintenance arrangements. Nordex added that all turbine deliveries are scheduled for 2027. Nordex is not a huge company. And so we're seeing some of these companies really kind of get to the point where they're getting big. And, you know, Nordex is, as I said, not a big company, but they're turning out turbines and selling them. So we have one final thing going on. I think that's an interesting building.
Mm-hmm. Well, this is from EcoGeneration.
Yes.
And the headline here is UTS Solar and Wind PPA to power Sydney campus.
Okay, UTS is the University of Technology, Sydney. In a move to accelerate its climate position plan, the University of Technology, Sydney has secured a 10-year power purchase agreement, that's what a PPA is, with Australian renewable energy retailer Flow Power. The PPA is unique. This is an interesting thing here, as it provides a virtual link to specific traceable renewable projects. Renewable PPA, power purchase agreement, you go to a company that has renewable assets, and you say, I want 100 megawatts. And they sell you 100 megawatts. And they guarantee that that 100 megawatts has come from someplace where it's actually generated by them. Now, what if they don't have it at any given time? That's usually specified in the contract, and they can say, well, if we don't have the megawatts to sell you, we'll buy them from somebody and transfer them to you. And you get certificates saying that you've got this. In this particular case, the PPA refers to, I believe, two projects. One is solar and one is wind. And that's where this electricity comes from. Well, question, what if the wind isn't blowing? What if the sun isn't shining? Well, they can deliver it anyway because they've got batteries at those projects, and that's how it's done.
Yeah.
And, you know, we have a couple of minutes here. In the old days, baseload power was what we had.
Right.
And I've said this before, and it's essentially correct. And in fact, I checked it with Professor, Doctor, oh, what is his name? I'm having trouble today. I've always had troubles dealing with names, but my mind is getting old. Baseload power is called baseload because it provides the base load.
Yes.
What is the base load? It's the least amount of power you would need in any given time. So it's only providing the base load. The thing that makes it distinct is the fact that baseload power can't ramp up and down to cover changes in demand. And what that means is baseload power requires, this is an absolute requirement, it's not something that's optional, you must have other sources if you've got baseload power. So you can have coal burning plant, fine.
Yeah.
Nuclear plant, fine. But in addition to that, you've got to have wind turbines and, you know, pumped storage and stuff like that. And this was ongoing, constant, because you only hit the minimum load usually in the course of the history of a plant once in the life of the plant. So you might hit the minimum once in 40 years. So baseload power cannot be used to be the sole source of power for the grid. And this thing of solar requiring batteries, wind requiring batteries, and that means that they're not as good as baseload, that is an idea that is utter nonsense because you can't do it with baseload power. The fact is you could put enough solar power on the grid with enough wind power on the grid that in combination, and you'd be wasting a lot of power if you did this, but the combination would allow you to run on just solar and wind without batteries or any other kind of outside source.
So it's interesting, the words here, we have near firm and we have base load.
That's right.
So near firm is going to be, it's nearly firm.
That's right.
And base load is just the base.
The base. It's just the minimum that anybody would want.
Yeah.
And the reason they did that was because they needed to build the least expensive plants they could build. And the baseload power plants are not designed to ramp up and down, so they didn't have all of the systems involved that would allow them to do that. And that's made their electricity cheap. But they have to have, I mean, gas peaker plants, that's expensive. You know, I've talked about 10.5 cents being too much for nuclear. Gas peaker plants can be 27, 30 cents. This is incredible. They can cost literally 10 times as much as solar power or wind power. Okay, we are suggesting that we would like everyone to have an objectively wonderful week.
Yeah. Yeah.
I like oxymorons. Objectively wonderful is like, yeah, you got it. Okay. See you next time.
See you next time.
Maybe what I should say, you can see us next time.
See us next time.
Right.
We probably won't see you.
Probably not.